Hey up you lot, welcome back to the channel. In this part I'm going to be doing just a couple of mini reviews, just a couple of movies that I've watched over the last week or so. I've got a little rant about the endings of horror films, particularly one that I watched a few weeks back, and I've also got some news on some rather controversial remakes coming up. But first off, this movie. Everybody's talking about Jamie. It's an autobiographical film version of a stage play about a teenager from Sheffield who wants to be a drag queen. It stars Max Harwood in the lead. You've got Sarah Lancashire in there. You've also got Richard E. Grant. What was the film like? It was all right. It was 2 hours. It's a musical. I'm not overly keen on musicals, but this was okay. None of the songs are what you would class as particularly memorable on your first watching, but I mean, if you watch it a few times, I guess there are a couple of potential earworms in there. It's divided critics. I listened to a podcast the other day, the Total Film podcast, and they reviewed it, and everybody on the panel absolutely hated it, loathed it. One of the main reasons, and this goes back to a little rant that I had last week about critics. One of the reasons was Richard E. Grant's Sheffield accent is not up to scratch. Come on, guys, is that really the most important thing you can find to moan about? There were a few other bits and pieces, but none of it was particularly what I would call relevant. For me, it was an enjoyable way to spend a couple of hours. Is it perfect? No. Is it a delight to watch? Yes, it is. The songs are okay. The acting is really, really good. Max Harwood in the lead is superb. Sarah Lancashire is the standout performance as his mother, who is absolutely brilliant in pretty much everything she does. It's got sort of a Billy Elliot kind of vibe about it. So if you've got a couple of hours to spare, I would definitely recommend it. If you want something sort of light, not too demanding, this is definitely a movie to find, and you will enjoy it. I pretty much guarantee you will enjoy it. You'll find it on Amazon Prime at the moment, so yeah, I would definitely recommend that. The next one that I want to talk about very briefly is this one. A Monster Calls is a difficult film to categorise. It's about this huge, scary CGI tree voiced by Liam Neeson, no less, that haunts the dreams of a young lad named Connor who's got enough troubles while awake. He's relentlessly bullied. His mother's dying of terminal illness, and he's shoved onto an aunt who he can't stand the sight of. So it's not the best of existence. It's a heartbreaking story, beautifully done, without a doubt. It's hard to know where it fits. It's not a kids' film because it's too mature for that, and it's not really an adult film either, because it's basically a boy talking to a tree. But it's a cracking film. If you get the chance to watch it, I would highly recommend it. I believe the kid's name is Lewis McDougall. He nails the part, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it's worth watching. It's an emotional drama. As I say, it's family entertainment, but it's not a kids' film, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend that one. You'll find it on BBC iPlayer. If you get the chance to watch it, I would highly, highly recommend it. It's well worth watching. Sigourney Weaver plays the aunt, which is the main reason I watched it. Big Sigourney Weaver fan, and she's brilliant in the role. Her English accent is perfect. Nice one, Sigourney. Yeah, so yeah, that's on BBC iPlayer. I don't know whether it's on there at the moment, but I believe it is being shown again over the next couple of weeks or so. So look out for that one, and it is definitely worth a look. Right, here's my rant for the week. I'm not going to do this every week because I don't want you thinking I'm just going to come in here and moan like hell about everything. There are just certain things that crop up that I think are worth mentioning. This week, it's the endings of horror movies. Here's the thing. Horror movies in the 80s, 70s, 80s and 90s, they were fairly easy to follow. They were usually about haunted houses, i.e. the Amityville Horror, straightforward possession, The Exorcist, or killers in ski masks murdering gobby teenagers, i.e. Friday the 13th, Halloween. It was all fairly straightforward stuff. We've now got this new breed of movies coming along that I just find totally confusing. I watched one a few weeks ago called Censor, which to me is a dream film. I love, as everybody pretty much knows now, the work of the BBFC, the British Board of Film Classification. Used to be known as the British Board of Film Censorship years ago. So when I heard there was a movie coming out based within the BBFC, I thought, brilliant, that is going to be well worth a look. It's a fairly straightforward story. A woman by the name of Edith works within the BBFC. She's a chief censor. She spends all day watching depraved, violent, sexually explicit material for classification. It's set during the video nasty era of the early 80s. It's a beautifully done movie. I don't know whether the clips that they show on there are of genuine movies or whether they've been made up, but if they've been made up to look like video nasties, they've been done very, very well. So the story is superb. I was absolutely fascinated by it. There's also a backstory about her sister disappearing when she was a kid. She just disappeared one day and never came back. And she's decided to try and find her. And for the first hour and a quarter, this film was just riveting. I was absolutely hooked on it. And then it did this kind of thing where it veers off in another direction. And it started to get a little bit confusing. And the last 5 minutes made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's a similar thing to, there was a film called Get Out a couple of years ago, Jordan Peele film, and that was pretty much the same. I watched that and got to the end of it and thought, I don't get it. I mean, am I just getting thick in my old age? Does anybody understand? If you've seen Censor and you did get it, please explain it to me, or even Get Out. But to me, there is nothing more annoying than getting to the end of a film and thinking, what the hell was that all about? Yes, I get it that they want to be a little bit arty and a little bit different. But take it from me, guys, these things are not arty. They are just bloody irritating. You invest sort of 90 minutes in something, you think you're getting somewhere with it, and you're looking forward to seeing how it finishes, and then all of a sudden it just veers off in another direction, and you've got no clue what you've just watched. So stop it with these confusing endings. We just want to sit down and watch something and be entertained by it. I don't want my head mashed in the last 15 minutes and suddenly think, why have I even bothered watching that? So that's my rant for this week. As I say, I won't be doing this every week. It's just certain things crop up every now and then, and I just feel the need to vent a little bit. But that's the one for this week. Confusing endings of horror movies. If anybody gets Censor or Get Out, feel free to message me and just tell me that I am being thick, and just explain it to me, because I would really, really love to know what the hell they were about. And finally, remakes. I've had news through this week of certain remakes that are in the pipeline at the moment, namely these three. Now, you've all seen those three, and I'm just betting a week's wages that I know exactly which one that you were looking at and thought, please don't do it. There were First Blood, first off, which I believe Tarantino wants to remake. He wants Stallone in it, but he doesn't want him playing Rambo. He wants him playing the Colonel. It's only a rumour at the moment. I believe he wants it to be his last film. He's always said that he would do 10 films and then go into some kind of self-imposed retirement. So, I mean, if he takes that on, it could be good. It could be quite good. And if he's got the link with the past with Stallone playing the Colonel, that could be well worth a look. Salem's Lot. Not sure how I feel about this one. I remember the original 1979 David Soul two-part miniseries. Scared the hell out of a generation. I mean, who can ever forget the image of that kid floating about outside his brother's window, just scratching at the windows like that? I mean, it was directed by Toby Hooper, who made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So you pretty much knew what you were in for with that one. But the remake, it was remade, I believe, in the 2000s with Rob Lowe. Never actually got to watch that. And this remake has got James Wan's name attached to it, director of The Conjuring and various other horror films. So it could be worth a look. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I will always say that I prefer the original, but I will reserve judgment on that one, because if it's got his name attached to it, it could be worth a look. And I believe that one's in the pipeline. Now, the last one, The Lost Boys. I put a story about this on the Facebook group last night and got quite a reaction to it. The reaction was a wholehearted, definite, 100% categorically, no, don't do it. The Lost Boys is an iconic movie, made, I believe, in '87. Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Kiefer Sutherland. It just doesn't get more cult than the Lost Boys. The soundtrack is superb. It's just brilliant, and it holds up really, really well after 30, 40 years. People love this movie, and for some reason it's one of those that I get the feeling is going to fall into the bracket of please don't fuck with it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. The people that have got in it, I can't say I recognise anybody. I think the kid from A Quiet Place is in it, probably playing one of the brothers. But I look at it and I think about it and I think I can't imagine anybody other than Corey Haim and Corey Feldman playing the leads. It just doesn't. And as for anybody taking on Kiefer Sutherland's role, I can't see it. So this is one that will definitely fall into the bracket of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But again, could be wrong. I don't know who's attached to it, but I do know it's happening. I believe they've found a director and they've already started casting it. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. But the opinion last night was a resounding no from pretty much everybody that replied to the story. So I would tend to agree with that. So it is happening, so we're just going to have to bear with it. It's one of those that we're just going to have a look at, go into it with an open mind and just see what happens. But I would imagine it's a way off yet. So, right, that's it for this weekend, folks. Thanks ever so much for joining me. I'm still working on and improving the videos. They're not quite how I want them yet, but I'm just making little improvements every week. So hopefully I'll get them how I want them within the very near future. So as I say, thanks ever so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed the videos, give us a thumbs up and also subscribe. That'd be amazing. And I'll be with you again next week with another load of film related tripe. Have a great week, folks, and I will talk to you all again soon. Take care. Bye bye.